All right. All right. Hello. Welcome to project stream number 16. Today we are going to be doing some more conlanging. We're returning to the conlang that I started a few weeks ago in my last conlang stream. And we're going to be making some tweaks and changes. And I'm hopefully going to get to doing something other than just talking about the sound changes and actually get into some of the structure of the language and figuring out how I want that to work. Before I jump into that, though, I just wanted to give an update about what's coming. So I've been gone for the last few weeks. It's been kind of busy. I only missed last week. I was here 2 weeks ago. But next week we will be doing some more Yesterlore. I'm bringing back another Saturday Yesterlore. People were really excited about the hieroglyphs that I did a few months ago now, and wanting more. So I'm going to be doing more hieroglyphs. Probably not this coming week, but that will be another Yesterlore coming up soon. I also would like to do some more runes. I think my plan is to do a stream where we're looking at the Frank's casket. I think that would be fun to do, and people might be interested in seeing that as well. So those are sort of the Yesterlore that I have planned. In between that, there will probably be another journaling stream. So I think this coming week we might do the Frank's casket. I think that's what we're going to do this coming week. And then, although it depends on a lot, finding time to put together Yesterlore content it takes a lot of time. And it's time I'm still looking to have. So that's been tricky, but I'm going to try to make it happen. So tentatively, this coming week, we will be looking at the Frank's casket, and then the following week, it will be another journal stream. And I think while I'm doing that journaling, journal with me stuff, there will be some origami involved. I hope that's interesting to people. But I might be talking about some other stuff while we do that. So it's not just you watching me journal the whole time, and I could be talking about something else. And then the following week, we'll probably have some more ancient Egyptian stuff to look at, which is exciting because I love looking at that stuff. So that is sort of the tentative plan moving forward. I also wanted to make a reminder of the announcement I made a few weeks ago, which is that I have a Patreon now. You can find linked on Twitch. If you're on Twitch, you can find linked on my profile, or you can, when this goes up on YouTube, the recording, it will be in the description there, and it's also linked on my YouTube channel. So if you want to support me that way, if you'd rather do more of a one-time thing, I also have a Buy Me a Coffee account, and you can just leave a tip there, or I have some commissions open for short Old English poetry or Old Norse poetry. If you would like either of those things, you can find those there. So those are all my updates. So let's get into conlanging. So what we're doing here today is, this is an Indo-European language that I started making last time, just straight from PIE, and I made some Satem-ish choices. And what I mean by that is the group of Indo-European languages that keep the plain velar and the uvulars separate by making the plain velars palatal and making the uvulars plain velar and merging the labiovelars and the velars here. There are a lot of Indo-European languages that do that, and they're called Satem languages typically. And that is just a sort of Englishization of the Avestan word Satem, which is Satem, which is 100, which comes from Proto-European contom is the sort of standard reconstruction, at least. And so it's a plain velar K that we write with these accents over them, And in Avestan and languages that are Satem languages, that K will become palatalized, and then sometimes it'll shift all the way to an S, like it does in Avestan. It's just S, Satem, from that Kundam. Whereas Kentum languages don't make that distinction between this K and the other K, and G and other G, etc., of velar sounds. And so that's why we get Kentum in Latin, Cantum. So that is sort of that split, and this language is going the Satem route with that. So what I'm sort of struggling with the language I have so far. So at the top, just to remind what these are, we have sort of what the word is going to mean in my language, and this is the Proto-Indo-European root it comes from. And I'm just looking at the roots. I'm not including the case endings right now because I want to figure out what I want to do with my case system still. What I am sort of struggling with is down here at the bottom I have sort of like what it's going to look like. What it's going to sound like is what it will sound like is whatever the lowest entry in that column is. I put something there if that rule applies to it. The sound change rule applies to it. For example, the R turns to L at the end of a word here. So any word where it had an R at the end of a word is going to be in this row. That didn't apply here, but what did apply is this change here, where the palatals became post-alveolar or palato-alveolar. So it went from Janatri to Janatri. And then this down here is just how I want to spell it in the language. And my spelling rules that I have here are, I've kind of changed them a bit since last time. So I want ch, j, and sh to be spelled like C, Z, and X. The th sound is going to be with thorn. I'm going to spell J, like the y and the w with e, with the I and the u. Goddess research. Oh, thank you, North Sea Poet. My I forgot to update my stream title. Thanks for that. I'm so sorry to disappoint you. Goddess research was 2 weeks ago. I need to change my stream title. Thank you. I'm so sorry to disappoint you. Yeah, no, you missed it. 2 weeks ago, I was doing Epona research. I was looking at stuff about Epona. So it's not Goddess research today. No, it's conlang with me. I am so sorry. I forgot to change the stream title. And I was trying to open that in a new window, not a new tab. Okay, there we go. I'm going to fix the stream title. I knew I was forgetting to do something. I was like, I actually started my stream on time, and everything is good. And yeah, no, I forgot to change my stream title. Conlang, question mark? Yeah, it's a constructed language. I'm making an Indo-European language. I started this language 3 weeks ago, and I'm not super happy with it so far. I'm gonna say I'm not super happy with how it's sounding, so I'm gonna make some changes, and I'm gonna show how I do that, how I like change what I've done to make it sound better to me. But first I have to pinpoint what it is that I don't like about it aesthetically, because this conlang's goals are here. Oh, you must be new here. I've made lots of new languages. We've actually done other new languages many times in my streams. Yeah, so the goal of this one is just fun, art, and to sound and look nice. There's no like huge ambitions with this language. Yeah. So yeah, stick around for more conlang content. I do that every once in a blue moon. It's been a few weeks since I've done some conlang stuff, but I need to change my stream title. Twitch is saying I'm not logged in. Oh yeah, I do commissions for conlangs. If you'd like to commission a conlang, definitely a thing I'm willing to do. Okay, Twitch is incredible to me sometimes because it will log me out on my browser that I use regularly and log in with regularly, and it will then tell me that it looks like I'm trying to log in from a new device. I'm never trying to log in from a new device or location. This is my office with my same computer that I use always, but it still needs to send me a verification code to verify my email for some reason. If anyone knows how to fix that, let me know. So I need to log into Twitch and change the stream title. I am so sorry about that, everyone. Man, I'm usually a few minutes late to my stream, and I was on time this time. But there had to be something. All right, almost figured out. We call it the office. It used to be the 2 bedrooms. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, so it's the other bedroom that is now the office / extra room for things to be in. And I call it the office because it's where my desk is, basically, and my keyboard and stuff. So I need to change my stream title. It is Project Stream 16. All right. Twitch title should be fixed. Apartment, I think you mean flat. Yeah, I mean both. See the little British localization underneath everything I say that just says flat every time I say apartment. Okay, so what my issue is, I'm not super happy with how it sounds right now. I am happy with the coda R turning to L, or not coda R, but just word final R turning to L. I like that, from matir to matil. I actually like that a lot. Bratil I like a lot for brother. But and another change I've made since, I've actually made a few more changes since the last time we streamed this. One thing I did is for the th sound, the thorn sound, I turned it to S immediately after another consonant. So pthal became psal, which is a little bit easier to pronounce for a lot of people too, I imagine. I like duksal for daughter. Duksal is fun, but duksal is a little bit easier to pronounce. Duksal. Lukshu thal baman basa hwasti hak rudati hamu arjuntu traditi kituris javiti. These last 4 were suggestions from a friend for what words to try to make sure I had was crunchy and chewy. And I ended up with kratas and juru as the roots for those. I still don't know how adjectives are going to decline in this language, but the roots at least will be those. So basically what I'm trying to pinpoint what it is that I don't like too much about this language right now. I think I'm just being fickle, because reading over these right now, I don't actually hate it that much. But the last time I looked at these, when I was preparing for this stream, I was like, I want to change some stuff. Maybe I just need to put it through more change. Throw a couple more centuries onto this language to make it change a bit more. And I don't know what happened here. I'm not sure what happened here, actually. I don't think the S should have turned to an H here, is my issue. Because isn't that actually the end of the word? This is the end of the root. But I don't know if this is going to be where the word ends. So it's going to, you know, stay in S. So far, at least. Yeah. So that's just mans for moon, which isn't that interesting to me, to be honest. Mans. Baman. Basa. Yeah, I think part of it is just a lot of these roots look very they look very sort of normie to me. Like some of them are interesting, like getting from father to psal. I don't think I've seen another Indo-European language that has this for father. But so there it's not like it's completely unoriginal, but there are certain words where it's like you've barely changed from the Proto-Indo-European to me. Or it's just not too different from like how it kind of sounds in Sanskrit or something like that, where I would wish it was more dramatic or different. I might just throw a few more sound changes in there. So looking at this, what I do like is I have a 3 vowel system now, a, I, U, which I like having. I don't want to mess with that really, but what I'm unsure about is some of these consonant clusters. I kind of like the sound of them, but I think it mostly is just this j, barajant and borjunti. Norsi poet, if you're in the chat, this word might stand out to you. Borjunti is from this root, which you might recognize. Feminine word for higher, lofty, and Proto-Indo-European. Yeah, it comes to Burjunti in this language right now. But this rj, it's pronounceable. It's not that it's not pronounceable or hard for me to pronounce. I just don't. Yeah, it's exactly cognate with that word, Brigantia. But what I'm trying to figure out is I don't know what to do with the urge there, because I don't know if I like it very much. I'm wondering if I want to do like an epenthetic vowel, like add a vowel in between those consonants, or do some kind of metathesis with the R, like move the R to the beginning of the, so it's like brajant and a brujunti, brujunti or something like that. And I was also thinking of doing metathesis here with the nasal, like, oh, I actually did do that and I forgot to write it. Whoops, yeah, I made it, instead of laukna, it's launka. Yeah. Refer to that somewhere else? Yeah. This would be a rajunto. No, you know what? Maybe it's fine. Maybe I'm fine with it. I think I just want to erode something else. Oh, yeah. I want to do a intervocalic lenition. I tried to do it earlier and I didn't like it at that stage in the language, but now that I'm here, I think I might want to do that. So what I want to do is I want to take voiced intervocalic plosives, like these. These guys, actually, this isn't a plosive, so I'm not going to apply it to it. These guys, yeah, and I want them to, part of me wants them to lenite first and then go away, but if I already know that they're going to go away, I might just completely drop them. Between vowels, yeah, they just go away. Do I even have any of them right now? That's a V, so it's gonna stay. Oh, this, yeah. That D goes away. It feels weird for me to get rid of those but keep V intervocalically. Maybe they do just lenite. To like a V, ev, and maybe G goes away entirely. Like has a stage like this where it's like a, and then it just goes away eventually. That happens a lot with intervocalic G. So instead, and then what I want to do after that is that voiced ones that are single and not geminated are gonna go to the voiced version. So this would be like madil. Why is this? Oh, these got bolded because I went from below instead of above. Yeah. I'm gonna make it a vowel or a liquid. On either side for these. Actually, not for this one. I want them to stay consonants with the liquids there. So what that means is that this would also change to Janadri instead of Janatri. Bradil. Oh, I should be using IPA here. There we go. This is Janadri. Madil. Bradil. Am I gonna voice S? Maybe I will voice S. Yeah, but I'm gonna spell it with. I'm gonna make it be pronounced like a Z, but I'm still gonna spell it with an S because I'm using Z already for something else. I'll do. It is just an allophone of S actually, so that's fine. These are gonna be allophones too. I think. I don't think it's gonna. No, because doing this will create a minimal pair. The S one doesn't though, so I'm gonna put it down here because it doesn't create a minimal pair. I actually don't have a lot of examples of this. This is going to be Baza. I forgot to move this down. Sorry, I'm getting texted right now. Duksan huyu mashu gravan ungul blus barjant borjonti huvul Juan mans launka lukshu thal baman baza hwasti hak. This D needs to become an F. Rudati. And I need to spell it differently, don't I? Do I use an F or do I keep it at all? How do I spell Ev? I think I'm just gonna spell it with Ev. I'm using thorn, why not use Ev too? Rudati. Hamu arjunto traditi. That needs to change. Oh, and you know what I could do? I could get rid of gemination after this point. So double, yeah, so like geminated consonant just becomes itself. So, because it won't be, right here, I'm distinguishing between double D and single D. But if D intervocalically is becoming Ev, and then T intervocalically is just becoming single D, then there's going to be a merger between single T and double D into just D here. Actually, I'll walk through the steps. Nothing happens to D here, because neither D is between two vowels. It's that both together are between two vowels, so nothing happens to them here. But the T here, later in the word, becomes a D. Tradidi. And then this double D becomes a single D, so it's tradidi. To believe. Tradidi. Tradidi. And then we have kaina, that's fine. This T is going to become D. Kidoris. Kidoris. Kradas. This is a liquid, so that T is between a vowel and a liquid, so it's going to be kordira. Juru, this javidi. Dichu, javidi is dichu. Okay. Gradas. Crunchy. Jasla. Oh, actually, L is liquid, so it's going to be jaz. Jazla. Jazla. But it's just spelled with an S. I just remember the S is pronounced that way. Jazla. Okay. Juru Javidi. Okay. So that is how these things are getting spelled and pronounced. Okay. I'm chill with that. Don't see any really intervocalic G's to yeet yet. I just need more roots to test out. But I think I'm happier with how the words are sounding. Just putting those sound changes through. I wonder if I want to do something with the alveolar ones too. Machu. Machu. I might decide later that I want to, but for now that's fine. Okay. What I can do now, I'll come back to sound. I don't want to mess with that right now. But sound is where I'm going to put the phonology of the language, like what distinct letters I actually have in the language now. But I'm going to worry about that later, because I'm going to probably tweak it more before I'm done. What I want to think about is how nouns are going to decline and verbs are going to conjugate. So this is where I like to have a lot of fun with making Indo-European languages, because Indo-European languages do a lot of different things with their noun declension, but they all ultimately derive from the same place in Proto-Indo-European. But the Proto-Indo-European system itself is probably very different from how any of them turned out, just because of how diverse they seem to be later on. So when you look at what different Indo-European languages have done with the Proto-Indo-European noun declension system, which in the state when it split was probably in a really weird state of flux just because of what seems to be going on in that system. It was undergoing a huge shift probably from like an active state of alignment into a nominative accusative one, because there's still vestiges of like the former all over the place in the case system. So sometimes I like to lean into that older system and say like this language split off earlier, or sometimes I'll like just kind of stick with the later system but do funky things with it that a lot of languages tend to do. So what I'm gonna do, I'm looking at Rudati again, and I'm feeling second thoughts. I'm not going to worry about it right now. I don't know if I want ev distinguished in this language. That's the only reason I'm hesitating. I don't know if I want ev. I'll need to think about it some more. So I want to start with the case system, so I'm going to drag declension over. I want to think about how many cases I want to distinguish. I tend to be pretty... Okay. In the past, I've done huge ones. I've done like many cases. And I've also done some where I have like 2 or 1. Like basically no distinguished noun cases. But my sort of standard one that I usually do is nominative, accusative, genitive, dative. It's what I'm super comfortable with using if I actually want to use the conlang usually. Most Germanic languages end up with this set. Greek pretty much also has this set. Latin has a few more. Russian has a few more. Like most Slavic languages have a few more. It's just nice. I like using the system, and I like using it in the way that it works in a lot of Germanic languages. But I don't know if I want to do that this time. I want to sort of think outside the box a little bit. So, I could do something like this. That feels boring, though. I like that a little better. Nominative, oblique, genitive, which in that case I could just call this the accusative and just use accusative for a bunch of cases. I want to do something very weird with this. I don't need to follow the rules of naturalism very much because I want it to be fun. This is just meant to be artsy and fun. So I might do something very unnaturalistic. What I kind of want to do, I want a system where, so some Indo-European languages have a locative, and they'll use that for like, you know, saying at this thing, or in some cases they'll have it be what you'll use prepositions of motion with instead of the allative, dative, or the accusative. A lot of Indo-European languages use the accusative with prepositions of motion, and then they'll use the dative for sort of prepositions of location. Like the dative and locative get mixed a lot of the time. I kind of want to do something weird where the case you use for the subject, which is the nominative in most Indo-European languages, I want that case to also be used for the location. And I'm not sure how I want to do that. If I want to do that by means of just putting locations in the nominative case as well, or if I want to have a shift where the subject gets put in the locative case, like emphatically at first, and then it just kind of sticks, and that just becomes the nominative now. Like, to emphasize the subject, you start putting it in the locative case. Like, oh, like, see that one, that person over there, when you're near them, that's the person who's doing it. It doesn't make a lot of naturalistic sense, but that's sort of how I would imagine it happening in this hypothetical universe. Obliques get used for emphasis in a lot of languages. It happens in English. We'll say, oh, me instead of I. Me is the sort of oblique accusative case, but we use that for emphasis when we're like pointing out the person. So I can imagine like an oblique case that was a locative getting used for subjects in that sort of way, and then that becomes the new nominative maybe. So I'll still call it nominative, I guess, but it's also locative is the thing. If I'm using it for locations, I'm not sure what to call it. It's a weird case combo. It's designating an interesting combination of semantic roles. So I might need to give it a new name. I might just call it the locative. Or like nominative, but it's secretly the locative. I don't know, I'll call it locative. Accusative. I think I'm going to use the accusative for most other things. Might just call it oblique. And then genitive is basically mostly going to be the possessive. What I might do is I might split a lot of the prepositions between these. And I keep saying prepositions. I'm not sure if I want to use prepositions or postpositions. I'll decide that later. But the adpositional words, I think they're going to take either one of these two cases. And I think I might do the same thing that Germanic tends to do with accusative and dative, where you use accusatives with a preposition and that has more of a motion meaning, and you use it with the dative and it has more of like a location meaning. I think I've talked about this in a previous stream before. Like, for example, in. If you use in with the accusative, it's more like into that place, versus in, like with the dative, is like located in that place. So I might basically just do that, but use the genitive for location. But that doesn't really make sense to do with this system because I have the locative for that. So it's really going to be the other way around. It's going to be the accusative is going to be for motion, and then the location, the locative is going to be for location. And then the genitive is, I guess, all it really does is be possessive here. It could be motion from as well. It could be like an ablative, genitive sort of mix. But I don't know if I want to do that. I might just have the ablative take the oblique. If I have like an ablative adposition, like from, like a word that means from. Yeah, or I can just use different verbs as well. That's also an option. Yeah. So I think I'll just do possessive, locative, possessive, oblique. So if I'm taking from the locative, that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to, I'm going to put some things here that are going to be useful for figuring out how this is going to look. If I'm not using the nominative, which I'm actually honestly kind of glad I'm not using the nominative itself. So the nominative for most athematic nouns is S if it's an animate noun. You put an S on it. Some nouns take nothing but have compensatory lengthening because there used to be an S there. I talked about that in the last session of this conlang stream with R, for example, and sometimes with N or M. The S after it will go away, but it will lengthen the vowel that's before the R or the M or the N. But I don't have to worry about any of that if I'm not even using the nominative and there's no s to think about. What a lot of the early athematic nouns did, that's nouns that don't have like a vowel suffix like with an O or E in them. What they do is there would often be two, or like there would be like three different versions of the stem. So you have like three parts with most Proto-Indo-European nouns. You have like a root, you have a suffix, and then you have an ending. The root is like where the meaning of the word, like the root meaning, usually it's some kind of verb root. Root nouns are just usually going to be a root and an ending. There are plenty of root nouns. Like if we go back to change, you'll see the word for I here. That's a root noun. There's no suffix. But a lot of these have suffixes on them. For example, the root here, the verbal root is here. This root means to like generate, to give birth, to be born, that kind of thing. It's related to kin. It's related to genus in Latin. This is, lots of words here. And then we have actually two suffixes going on here. We have this suffix that is used to make agent nouns, and then a lot of feminine agent nouns also have this sort of feminizing suffix on it. And then after this, you'd have, your case endings that go here. And those I use E for. So there are actually two suffixes on this one. But if we go to, for example, the word for mother here in Proto-Indo-European, which I just have mom because I want to use this for mother. I like how this sounds for mother, formal, and then madil just for mom. Actually, this might be dad. I didn't like how the word for father came out. It was calling to this. Well, that was before these sound changes. Maybe I will like it. I'm gonna re-add it here, actually. It's father, because this for dad is nice. I like psal for dad. So what happens here is we have I'm going to put it through its sound changes real quick. Nothing happens there. The H after the N just becomes an A. Then the sotomization. Then the vowel shift. The stress shift happens, no stress changes here. Then the R thing, so it becomes janatal, and I didn't like how janatal sounded, so I got rid of it, but I might like it later. So if janatal becomes janatal, and then that T becomes a D, janadal. I don't hate it as much. Janadal. I like it with the D better. Janadal. But anyway, the important thing here that I'm trying to point out is that, like, for example, this root has to do with growing, probably. Not everyone's decided on if that's actually what root's here. But if that is, then that will be the root, and this is like an agent suffix. So most older Indo-European nouns have these three parts. They have like a root, it's usually a verbal root, then a suffix that kind of puts it in like a certain noun class, and then we have, whatever ending for that case. So usually when we're talking about the different stems, we ignore that because that's the suffix, that's like the ending, not the sort of derivational suffix that's part of the stem. It goes like stem, these are both part of the stem, and then this E here, this is a suffix. Technically this is a suffix, that's what S stands for, but this is more like an inflectional ending rather than a derivational ending. And what happens though is that there are different types of older nouns in Proto-Indo-European where the stress and the vowel will be found in different parts, depending on the case. So, for example, you have what are often called proto-dynamic or proto-kinetic vowels, where in some cases the stress goes here, like in let's do what's a good word to do for this? Let's do this one. So you have like you have your root here. This root, for example, this verbal root, it's like G, like the one that becomes a G in this language, and then an N. That is used for like chin or knee. It has to do with like joints and hinges and stuff like that. Probably means to bend or something like that originally. And then you have a suffix, and that's this consonant suffix that usually surfaces as the vowel U, and that makes it like a noun that does that basically, that serves as a hinge or something. And so that's how you have like the noun gonu, which becomes the word for knee in a lot of the Indo-European languages. Well, in the nominative and accusative cases, it's gonu. But in other cases, you'll have it where it's no vowel here, and then you'll have a vowel here. No. You'll have like gno. That's actually why it's a KN in English, because the form in these other cases is what came to English to become on kneo in Old English and ni in Modern English. So that's what can happen sometimes. And you might even have like derived words where the stress will be in the suffix or the inflectional ending. So the stress moves around, and what's interesting is the locative case in some languages looks like it comes from a situation where you just have the root without its vowels, like if I want the word for lake, for example, that's going to be this root, this suffix, and then whatever case ending. Like if I want the nominative, it's going to be this. And in the nominative case, the stress is here. So it's lemo. And it's lemo where the S lengthens the O and the N goes away. So it like becomes like lay. Like the actual surface word is lemo. But there's the root is like, this is sort of the structure that it's broken down into. Because when you look at other cases, like the genitive, for example, you have a situation where the vowel is in the inflectional ending. So it's like li, m, ne. And the genitive ending is an S. So actually, much like the nominative, the genitive is also an S, but the stress goes somewhere else. So this is like this is the word for lake, or a word for lake. So this would be like the lake as like the subject of the sentence. Like the lake is beautiful versus the lake's shore. The shore of the lake would be like limnes as opposed to lemo. And so you can see how different the same word can look in different cases in Proto-Indo-European. But the locative, usually the locative ending is I, and we see that pretty consistently later, that the locative will end with I, and the dative also often ends with I, so the dative and locative, like I said, in a lot of Indo-European languages is merged, because in Indo-European already a lot of them were either similar or like identical, depending on the word that you're talking about. But what's interesting is that sometimes that I isn't there, like it's not needed, but the difference is that the vowel is in the stem suffix the derivational ending, and not there. So like if you wanted to say like at the lake, it would be limen. And you could say limeni, but you could also just say limen. Like optionally I here, limeni. And so if I'm talking about like an older word from Indo-European, some of the older vocabulary, that would be the form that I'm then using for the subject as well. Is that form where the vowel has moved. And I actually really like that. I like the sort of shifted stress for the subject. Actually, the oblique might also often be similar, or it might be using like the genitive one. Like if I wanted to just plug in the Proto-European here, the nominative that I'm like eating would be like lemo. And it's long because of the missing ns. Then we have limen, and there might be other oblique cases that are using that form, like limen, blah, 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 whatever ending I want. But if I take it from the accusative, it might be like lemonum, or something like that. Lemonum, with a syllabic M there. And then possessive would be like from the genitive limnes. If I wanted to take it from the accusative, it would be like that. And in fact, that might be nice because at least I'd still have sort of the nominative stem sort of shape represented somewhere, and it would be in the oblique. But it would end up looking, especially if the possessive and the locative are sort of similar-ish in that their stress is not in the root, that would actually be interesting because what it kind of says, it actually kind of makes what was the nominative version of the stem look like that's the change, like that's the marked one because it's oblique and not used for the subject. I kind of like that a lot, actually. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the oblique from the accusative, and I might just erode the accusative ending away. So I just straight up use the nominative stem with no ending as the oblique. So what would that look like? Let me take an example. So let's do a word like, yeah, so I actually wanted to test some of these out because there's also certain words where not only the vowel changes, but also like what your stem suffix consonant changes, like L or R versus N. That's what I did with sun. I wanted to see how both of those would come out. So here, the locative stem is actually what Juan is, and then huvul is what the nominative stem comes out to. And so what it would look like is Juan would actually be the subject and location form, and huvul would be the oblique. And then I think the genitive would be like hun. It'd be like just H-U-N, and then whatever my ending for the genitive ends up being. It's an S in Proto-European, but yeah, like I'll actually show what that looks like here. I just want the text so I can copy paste the symbols without having to rewrite them. So the oblique would actually go here. So this is like the old nominative is now the oblique, because I don't think there's a different accusative for this word. I think it's grammatically neuter in Proto-European. I know it's not neuter in most of the languages it comes from that come from Proto-European, but it is neuter in Proto-European. I'm pretty sure. Double check that. But then we have this for the sort of like locative stem, and then we have something more like this for the genitive. And this is how we get like sun out of the same root that gives sol in Latin, for example. Sol. Solar and sun are from the same root. It's just that in the nominative and accusative they have an L, and then in the other forms they have an N. They're called heteroclitic stems, where in the nominative accusative it's usually an R and then it's an N in the other cases. But there are a couple situations where it's an L instead of an R for whatever reason. So how these come out, this is like Juan. This is huvul. We saw how that came out before. And I need to check how this would come out. Let me look at the sound changes real quick. So this is what happened here. That's because U is a consonant in this situation here, because it's the vowel here is there. But with sones, the U is acting like a genuine vowel, so things would come out a little differently, I think. So actually, let me just do it. Let's just do it on the page. So let's just follow what happens here. H2 becomes H. Word initial S becomes H before a consonant. Word final S becomes H after a consonant. So that's going to be like, yeah, so S just becomes H either between consonants or at a word boundary before a consonant or after a consonant. So that's going to look like this. It's going to be like H-H-U-N-E-S. And it's staying in S because there's no consonant before that S at the end. Let's see. H becomes nothing before a consonant or in between consonants. Or before a plosive or fricative, actually. So H is fricative, so that basically it just gets rid of the duplicate H in this word honas. Stressed E becomes A, honas. Stress shift, honas. And I don't do anything in that final S, do I? I kind of want to. I kind of wanted this S to go away. I kind of wanted this S to go away at the end, way up here. Why didn't I specify that? Why did I make it so specific? I think there was a reason, and I don't want to mess with it because I don't want it to ruin something else I did already. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another roll down here that gets rid of that final S for me, because I don't think I want that S at the end of the word. S goes away. Word finally. After a vowel, I guess. So that's going to give me huna. Okay. So it looks like the A just switched places here. Juan, hul, huna. Sun, sun, sun. Yeah, I might put possessive closer to the top because it's usually going to be more similar to the locative ending, or the locative form. Let's do another one. Let's do this one. This is Baman, right? So that's where this is gonna, or no, so this is gonna be Baman, especially if I don't. So the accusative would probably have like an M here, and that M would go to I don't want it to be Bamanum though. Bamanum. I don't really like that, Bamanum. It just feels too thick. I think I just want it to say Baman. Like, I don't want to add a to this, or even an un or an u. Actually, maybe I don't hate the u. Huvulu. Huvulu. Baman. I'll think about it. I'm gonna put these in parentheses for now. But in the, if I'm using that locative stem thing, what this would look like is be like B, H, H2, M, N, M, E, N. And then this would be a similar thing, but it would be even more dramatic because it would be H2 MNES. Let's put those 2 changes actually. Yeah. So I might just have to go back to change and add those in. I have 2 words for speech here because I could also take it from this root, but I don't want to. I don't like how it sounds as much. All right. I need 2 columns, don't I? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just not remembering off the top of my head the order that will happen with all this H followed by an M thing. So what happens here is that an H before nasal becomes an O nasal. So this is going to be men, and this is going to be bullness. Okay, already different. And the next thing that happens is that these become normal B's and not aspirated B's. When I say normal, I just mean with no secondary articulation of a aspiration. Normal is probably the wrong. It is definitely the wrong word to use there. Well, men, and then I think the next thing that happens is the vowel shift. So it's going to be a man. Oh. Oh. Okay. Different stress. But then that stress is not preserved down here because there's a stress shift. So there's going to be a merger of cases here. Maybe I do want the U then. Bumnas. Because this would also be bumman. Like this would have the same stress as this. It's just that this has a long vowel, but then that long vowel becomes short once the stress moves. Bumman. So these are identical now. And then let's see, bumnas. Like it becomes bumnas. And then we got bumna here, so it's bumman, bumna. So by historical accident, these end up being the same. They're from different forms, but they end up being the same. Bumman. Oh wait, no, this is bumna. This is bumman. Okay, so maybe I do want the U. Maybe I only have the U if it's a word where they merge, like baman versus bamanu. But if it's a situation where they're already different, like Juan and Huvul, then I don't need the extra U. Huvulu. I kind of like how Huvulu sounds though. I mean, if the oblique, no, but this would be used for the direct object as well as the thing. So maybe that's okay. I'll think more about it. Let's do some more nouns. Let's do a noun like, let's do a root noun. This one. So what's going to happen with these is I'll probably use the locative ending with an I for this kind of thing. And then it'll just not have the I in the oblique. So it'll be like hockey, hawks. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, that S is going to turn to H. That H is going to go away. Oh, so then the possessive and the, if it's accusative, that's going to have a U probably. U-M, and I'm just dropping the M. So it's actually the possessive that looks naked here. That's fine. I'm fine with that, actually. I don't hate that. Maybe... You know, that sort of thing happens. There might just be some nouns where the possessive and the oblique are the same. There might be some nouns where the locative and the oblique are the same. And that's fine. And people will just learn that. If they speak this language, they'll just grow up speaking that way, and that's fine. I actually like it aesthetically. Let's do a thematic noun. Thematic nouns do not have this whole stress shift thing going on. They will just have their stress be where it is, because you have an O in the suffix. Often you see with some of these, the stress is on that O. They often start as adjectives, and then in many cases became nouns later. And so, yeah. Ooh, what if I do one that has S in the root? This one will probably shift. That's an adjective. That's crunchy. Chewy. One thing I do sometimes is I just choose the older forms because I like to mostly stick with nouns that'll have a stress shift in them. Like moon could have a stress shift. I'm gonna look at how that will come out. I think moon is reconstructed not to shift stress, and it just adds the endings. But I want to see what would happen if it did start shifting stress. So it's long, and I think it's partially just because there's so much going on with that syllable there that's lengthening it. And I think the root is this. And then there's an ns suffix. I'm not sure what ns would mean, though. I'm not sure. I see it very often. Elsewhere, I don't. But let's just say that that's the stem, or that's the root, and this is the stem suffix. This would be the locative stem, which would take an I, and then this would be that. I think it's actually reconstructed to just keep this stress the whole way, where the stress is on that long E. I think you just can't see it in this font. Or maybe I forgot to put the accent there. Oh, I did. That's hard to see with this font. It just stays there, and you just add the different endings to it. And you end up with like a double S situation with the genitive. I don't want to deal with that, so I am going to shift the stress. So let's see how this comes out. This goes to MH is going to become ma, right? Yeah. Manes, manses, yeah. Okay, I'm already trying to anticipate what's going to happen. So what happens is manas. It goes to manas. And this goes mansas. Mansas. Yeah, okay. And then mana, mansa. Okay. So that would look like that's interesting. I should probably freeze this. Can I freeze it from here? No, I think I have to go to view. Yeah. I just want to still be able to see the three cases that I'm dealing with. So that's interesting, huh? I'm going to move over and then do European stuff so I can see what the actual declensions are for these. So this is sun. Sun, this is speech, this is eye, and this is, whoa, moon. I'm gonna put sun and moon next to each other so we can see how they look. Juan, mana, huna, mans, huvul, mansa. You know, it could just be that root nouns don't decline at all, and it's just hak hak hak. Contemplating. I was thinking about just splicing locative and this pseudo locative nominative, but that kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm doing with them. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it merged here. Because what I was thinking is, like, I could have a form where it's haki, and I could have a form where it's like baman and bamani, and they're just different cases, but the whole reason this is like baman and this is one is because I'm using the locative, and I wouldn't want to splice that after already having merged them. Like, I could do that, but I don't want to. So, we'll keep these in parentheses for now. Could have an M here if I wanted to. No, I don't want to. I think I'm leaning towards no U. In which case no I as well. And these are all the same. I'm fine with mergers. So what I'm gonna do, I wanna like mark the mergers. I'm gonna put them in a different, I'm gonna make them different color. Oh, it's not a different enough color. Lighter. Yeah. Now those merge. Merger here, merger here. These are almost merged. Mansa and Mansa. Okay. Let's do another one. Let's do a thematic now, like I was saying. That's another word for moon I was thinking about, and this one too. Thematic. What's a thematic one? Silver. And this is one that actually, it's hrgntom with an M in the nominative and the accusative because it's a neuter noun. So there's no distinction between the nominative and accusative. So there won't be like a syllabic M one like we've been seeing in some of the other ones. There wouldn't be like a U ending in the ultimate ending because there's already a vowel there and there's already an M. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So this would be this root. It would be that in Proto-Indo-European. Just looking at the root, I want to think about what's going to happen. It's not going to change, but the endings are going to be like M, I, and S. And I want to look at what happens to these And all I really need to think about, like, nothing's going to be different about these vowels. It's going to be this. Arjunto. Arjunto. But with different consonants. So rajunto, arjunto, arjuntui, arjuntui, arjuntus, which will, the S will go away, and then arjuntum. And if I'm not doing the M thing anywhere else, why would I do it here? Arjunto. So we could just have a merger of possessive and oblique with the thematic ones. Or I could have an M there. It's really a question of, do I want an M in the oblique? Or do I not? Or I could do a final M to N thing, so it could be like that. No, it's not merged. I don't love the I there either. Arjuntui doesn't have a nice ring to it to me. Do thematic nouns also not decline? There's so many thematic nouns though. Maybe they just don't decline. Or maybe I do have an N on the oblique. I don't want M. But I merge these. I don't do that locative I thing. Yes, the thematic nouns have a merged locative and possessive. What is beginning to seem like is that word order is going to matter a lot in this conlang. I'm going to need to rely on word order for this a lot of the time. Word order and context is going to be key, I think. So, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with things being ambiguous. I'm okay with needing to rely on word order. But I do want to be able to write the rules. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a row above and say what type this is. This is a heteroclitic. This is a actually, let me check what happens to another word here that might be similar to, oh, whoops. It might be in a similar boat to moon, and that's the word for crunchy, which is an adjective, but I don't really want there to be too much of a distinction between the declension of noun-like adjectives and the declension of nouns. I'm going to take crunchy, because this S is probably going to put us in a similar situation when we think about the different endings and the sort of stress shift here, because this is an older type of stem. I think this is used to actually make nouns, but I want it to be an adjective in this language. Like the words that come from this root, I think, are usually nouns, but I'm making them adjectives. So this would be like this, maybe, and then ses, because it looks like this is a suffix, a derivational suffix, and then you put the ending on it, so it goes like the root is this is like the crunch or cut crisp root, and then this is the S is a suffix, and then we add endings to that. So this is just without a suffix, or sorry, without an ending. You know, the I would be here if we kept the I there. So let's see how that comes out. This is going to be cortes, cortes. Something's happening with the S there, right? No, because it's not the end of the word. So we're just gonna have like this awkward. We're just gonna have this awkward cluster here. Okay. No. I'll figure something out. Let's just see how it will come out and see if I need to change any rules to make it come out nicer sounding. Okay, stress shift here, or sorry, vowel shift and then stress shift. So this is going to be cortas, cortas, stress shift, cortas, cortas. Yes, this is kind of like similar to what happened with the word for moon, and that's what I anticipated because of this S at the end of the root, or the end of the stem, I mean. Nothing else happens with the R, and I think that's my issue with this word. We do have a liquid, a consonant, and then a vowel here. The T is before a liquid and a vowel, so we have corda, cordas, yeah, cordas, and then the S goes away, so it's corda, and then that's our word corda, for crunchy, and this would be our actual, like, for a subject, agreeing with a subject, it would be corda, agreeing with an oblique, it will be cradas, and then cortsas wouldn't undergo this consonant shift because the S blocks the T from voicing itself. So it stays and it's become cortsa. Cortsa. So that's weird. You have like consonant gradation now. That's not what I wanted. We have vowel differences and consonant gradation here. But what I wanted to see oh wait, these are swapped. There we go. I was gonna say the S should be at the end there. What I wanted to see if this pattern held here, where we have the S at the end of the root staying in the oblique, we have an A in the possessive, and then we have just an A with no S in the locative form. That's our new nominative. So I don't think I like the consonant gradation here. But this is going to happen regardless because of the way that yeah, no, it just has to be that way if I want to keep that consonant shift, the lenition. But these are both like S stems, basically. S stem, S stem. It's just remembering that S stems are going to mess with plosives a bit. Speech, this is an N stem. This is a root noun, and this is a thematic noun. I want to look at the H2 thematics as well. So like a lot of the feminine nouns, like fee. Let's look at fee. So this won't, like, nothing's going to change there. It's going to be a similar situation to argento. Like if we wanted to put an M there, I guess we could. because that would end up with un there if I want to do that M shift that I still need to write. Svi. So this goes to, so this is kaina, right? Yeah, because it's going to be a long A, and we're going to have an M there, so that would be like kainam, or kainan, if we wanted to do that. Like with this N in Arjuntum, we'd have an N there, kainan, and then we have kaina, and then the S here would go away, and it would be kaina as well. So, and I'm just like I'm not doing the I there, I'm not doing the I here. So it's kaina, kaina, kainan. So there is a pattern. And we have the same sort of merge here. Yeah. I want to see if this is, would this always be true? I don't think it's always going to be true for end stems that the locative and oblique are the same. I think it's an accident of the fact that it's a laryngeal in the root here when it's 0 grade. This is from the 0 grade. BH, sorry, no, H2. M. And the fact that that comes to bom, and that both bom and bam both become bam because the stress is here and then the stress is not here. If the stress were on this O, it would become boom. So it would be more different. It would be like booman, but the stress is not here, and this would be boomna. And that's exactly what's happening here. Is that it's going, we have a U here, and that's because of the R 0 grade. Here it would become a U because it would be a stressed O becoming a U, but it's not a stressed O, it's unstressed. Now if that H2 weren't there, it would be a U because this is just an R. Like if it were this, it would become this, and it would stay that way, and it would be buman, bumna, baman. Just like we have korda, kortsa, kradas. But that's not what's happening. So what we're going to do is I want to take another end stem. Do I already have another end stem anywhere? I mean, why don't I just make lake happen? Like I showed lake earlier. I got rid of it, but that was like lemo. And it would be lemon here, and then it would be limnes and limen. And I don't think I need to look at the change sheet even for these, because I know that the stress shift is going to make this liman, or say the vowel shift is going to make this liman, and then the stress shift's here, so it's liman. Similar here, limnas becomes limnas, and then that S goes away, so it's limna, and then this is where I might need to check. I know this would become and then getting rid of that, it's u. And I decided I didn't want the u, so it's just going to be like that. Lyman. It's lake. So see, these are not going to be the same. The vowel will often be different. The reason it's not different here is because the result of a 0 grade and the result of a, like, the vowel that gets lengthened are ultimately the same because of the vowel shifts that happen by happenstance. So this is another end stem, but end stems are not all created equal, basically. Is what I wanted to check, which is what I suspected, but I just wanted to demonstrate that, I guess. So yeah, typically different vowels, but sometimes same vowel. If there's like a laryngeal or something there that messes with that. First time chat, do to dev, what you doing? I am conlanging. I'm working on a conlang. But the stream should come to an end now. We're at our end time for today. So I have now a noun declension system. I should describe it though, so I don't forget what's going on here. I'll also have to check some other stems. Like I want to check the R stems, like in mother and stuff, which will all end with L's now. But they won't all have L's because they won't all be at the end of the word, will they? It's gonna be another interesting thing to see. Actually, you know what? I'll do one just for fun before I end. Let's do. I should put a line here, huh? That'll be fun. Yeah, let's put a line there, just to help see where things break off. So I'm gonna do an R stem, and I'm gonna do maybe the word for. This would probably decline like a thematic one. Yeah, this H2 would probably make this be thematic. So it'd be like Janadri, Janadri, Janadrin with an N. Oh, I should do nothing in N. Word finally. Okay. After that, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it'll be Janadri, 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 Janadrin. Or wait, I'm stressing it wrong, aren't I? Yeah, it needs to be penultimate when it's heavy like that. Janadri, Janadri, Janadrin. But Janadal, this would probably. These are reconstructed to have static stress, for the most part, or at least like. Actually, no, that's not true. I think this is histrodynamic, so it either is in this here or it's in this the inflectional ending. I can deal with that. I can now with mother though. I think it's static with mother and brother as well. At least reconstructed to be by most people. I think some people do think it changes, but let's look at those. I'm going to do father and mother in there. Mom, dad. Okay, so it goes. Dad. Alright, and I'm taking this from the accusative, that's why I have M's there, which would become uns eventually, that I'm not keeping, unless it's thematic and then I want there to be a difference like I am here. So, this becomes matil, right? Or no, madil, and that becomes sal. That's going to be interesting. So, I think I actually need to make these columns. Unfortunately, see, this is already in the state it would be in as a locative, is the thing. Because in theory, the stress would be like in the root. It would be like behter and not pter. So this is already sort of in a locative situation. So this might be where I do want an I, or I have them merged. Like psal would be the locative and the oblique, or something like that. Let's see. But these R stems, these are usually people, and that's like the kind of noun where you really want to be able to unambiguously distinguish someone who's the subject and someone who's the object of the verb. And if I don't want like a completely rigid word order or something like that, then I would want them to be different, possibly. So that's something to think about. But let's keep the stress, but look at what the endings would be. So this is when we put the stress in the inflectional suffix for the genitive case. Except you don't do that here. You just take out the E from the suffix, the derivational suffix. So what's going to be different, if anything? Okay. Matras. Matras. No L, that's going to be fun. And so then we have, it's just the T and an R, so that's going to become madras. And then madra is the genitive there. I think it's going to be a similar thing, but we have a weirder situation here because of the H thing. So it's P-H-T-R. Yes, okay. Tres. H before T is going to become a theta. Tres. Tres. Pthres becomes pthras. No stress shift. I don't know why I wrote that there. That there's no change there. Pthras. Pthras. That's tricky. Pthras. That's even trickier. Psra. Psra. Do I have something happening to R or S when they're in contact with each other? I could have sworn I did. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need one. Because this would be psra. This would be psra. 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 Maybe I have history repeat itself and we add an epithetic U here. Because we've just added a bunch of S's, a bunch more S's than there already were with this rule. So I think this would be a time when like the language would start adding. Actually, yeah, psura, psuras, psura, psura, because this is gonna affect some other things too. Some other things that I was like kind of iffy about the pronunciation of, and now I might be happier with. It's over here, wasn't it? Jasla here. That's going to become Jasula. And it's going to become Jazula. And I like that better than Jasla. Jazula. If I have an SM somewhere too, that would also happen. I don't think I do though. Like if there's something like Sma, it would be Suma. And I like how that sounds. Yeah, psura. Okay, so how does this actually come out when we go to the declension now? So this is Madil and Psal have the same stem ultimately, depending. Well, you know, the stress isn't moving with Madil if we're keeping it static. The vowels would be different if we were. This would be like Midal if we did move the stress. But that's not what happens, and I don't want to change that really very much. I don't like how that sounds as much. So these would be the same if I don't do anything with them, but I don't like having these the same when we're talking about a person very much. So, and then this was Madra, and this was Psura. So these end up looking kind of heteroclitic too, but just in a different way. You don't want these to be the same. Like, is dad talking to mom or is mom talking to dad? That would be ambiguous if they're the same, and I'm not relying, if I don't like have strict word order rules. So what we can do, so there's two ways we can take this. We could mark the locative and keep the oblique like the basic form by adding I's here, and these wouldn't be R's, these wouldn't be L's, these would be R's. Or we can go the other way around, keep the locative like this, and then add, you know, an accusative ending down here. Salon. Kind of like we are sort of doing with the thematics here, adding an N for the oblique. We're keeping that accusative ending to use in the oblique here. We could also be kind of weird and take this from, we could sort of like analogically take the dative ending and put it here for these. Like take the oblique from the dative with these ones instead of the accusative, just to make it extra clear. Actually, I kind of like that. So then these would be, yeah, psadi. Now I could do something even weirder and then drop the I later, just like with these kinds of nouns, and then the only difference is the R versus the L. But I don't really want to do that because I want this language to have like a consistent sound with that R rule. So I think this is what I'm doing. Yeah, I think it's what I'm doing. So we have an ending here. So we have like L. Oh, this should be psad then. This should be psad. Okay, I think I'm happier with this now. I have a declension system. Next time we come back to this, which will be in a few weeks, I will be trying to well, I'll be showing. I think I'm going to work on this in the interim. I will be doing the pronouns and seeing how that works with this system, and then we will be doing verbs, I think, after that. So that's the plan for next time, which I don't know when exactly that's going to be, but hopefully soon. So that is all. I'm going to have to go. I stated later than I was supposed to. But thank you all for being here, those of you who've been here, and those of you who are new, welcome. We sometimes do conlang streams. We're going to have some reading ancient languages streams coming up soon as well. Next week we'll probably be doing the Frank's casket, and then some more ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic stuff coming soon. Some journal stuff in the interim as well. So that's what to look forward to. And I think that's all. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone watching this in the future on YouTube, please don't be afraid to leave a comment, ask questions, that sort of thing in the YouTube comments. I do read them. So I hope to see you there. And I will see you all next week. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of whatever time zone you are in. Thank you, and goodbye.